Good morning, YouTube. It's 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and we're doing another scrap wood bowl project. So this will probably be the most perfect bowl that I've made up to this, time in my woodworking career. So it's 1,000 degrees in the state of Texas, so we had to wait until the sun went down relatively, even though it's still like 98 degrees when I'm doing the cutting on the bandsaw there, to get anything done because it's still hot as hell. So this is the technique that I've come up with to kind of do these projects. Instead of taking super glue or the hot glue, what we're doing here is taking 15-minute epoxy, mixing up about 2 milliliters of that, getting that mixed up because it sets in 15 minutes, which makes this a lot easier, and just getting a base layer so it doesn't float in the resin when we end up doing the bigger pour. So we ended up doing that, then we came back, and now we're going to add about 48 ounces of resin to this project. Put that in the pressure pot for about 4.5 hours and see what kind of cool blink we get out of it. So mixing everything up really good. Adding this pigment to it. This is like a crimson. Looks more like the colors of the University of Texas. And I went to Texas Tech, so this was not intentional, by the way. Complete accident. But it looks really cool. Really like the color. Love the pour. We ended up measuring out that resin nearly perfect. 48 ounces. 4.5 hours later in the pressure pot, and we get this cool looking blank. And this is about the most perfect size mold that I have found so far. It looks really, really cool. Love the color. Didn't add anything. This is just one color to it. You can see the wood on there. Wish I had a little bit more wood for this one, but looks absolutely gorgeous. Love how this turned out. Perfect. Came right out of the mold. Didn't adhere. So that's always a plus when we're doing this. So using our waste block, don't be stingy with your hot glue. Getting all that glue down to the center of it. Working on the sides. And I will say this is probably the most perfect center setup I've ever done because this thing barely gave me any trouble. So getting that screwed down, we're just using the regular screws that we will use, staying away from the deck screws. If you watched some previous projects, the Ninja Turtle bowl, where we were using deck screws and I spent an hour digging those out, didn't do it on this one, just using regular screws when we're doing the tie down. But got this onto the lathe, looks really cool. Now we're ready to get this started. And just look at the spin, you can see there's no wobble, it's just spinning absolutely perfect. That's how you know you got everything really, really nice and centered. And now, slow motion. Really looks cool. I know, sometimes I'll add these effects to the woodworking projects, other times I just don't. But I loved how the ribbons came off on this one. Again, I've learned over the past 4 years, you gotta let the epoxy set up. So I let this set up for about 4 days before we actually started working on it. Some woodworkers will say you need to do it for 2 to 4 weeks. When I'm just making bowls, I found that anything past 4 days usually is pretty effective. So let the resin set up and you won't have a lot of problems. And then you get these really cool ribbons that are coming off of it. Felt really good on the chisels. Not a lot of issues as far as turning everything down, but love the slow motion effect. Hope you guys are liking it as much as I am. I don't know, sometimes it's just fun to play with the editing, and I need to get better at editing anyway. But we're about to speed it up here in just a moment, and now we're starting to take every layer off, getting everything nice and round, but you can see there's not a lot of wobble. Ribbons are coming off really nice and smooth. Love how this felt on the chisels, and we're just using the large carbide round tool tip, and then we're coming back with the medium ones to do some of the finer work. But you can just see here, just based off the ribbons, getting really good material worked off and getting everything nice, even, and cylindrical shape. And then as I work my way to the headstock, I start to butt clench a little bit because I'm worried that there's going to be a shard that's going to come off and hit me right in the arm. But hey, wear your safety equipment. You won't have to worry about those kinds of things. So now we're just working off on the bottom. And there's a little bit of a divot from where the mold was, but this part didn't go incredibly difficult. Just working off more material, exposing that firewood for the outer portion of it. You can see there, probably needed a lot more firewood than I had. I actually did have some, I just didn't have any cut down, but I felt comfortable enough with this to just go ahead and do it that way. So once we got that all done, you can see there the wood exposed on the bottom, and material's coming off really good. Some of the wood's starting to come off, and now a little bit, in about 10 seconds, we're about to start making the mortise. So boom, making the mortise. So the mortise part went relatively easy, but when I sized it up on the chuck, you'll see here in a little bit, there was a bit of a problem because I thought the mortise was deep enough, I thought it was wide enough, and it was because I actually took the chuck and put it up against there to see and make sure that it fit the way it needed to. As bam, fits perfect. Didn't have a lot of issue, went a little bit deeper, just wanted to make sure, and we'll come back and I'll show you what happened. So was happy with the way the mortise initially was set up. Now we're just taking the faceplate off, and you guys didn't see it, but I ended up popping that off, and now we're just getting that superficial layer off. But what you guys don't, I mean, you can kind of see here, you can see there's a lot of wobble on this one. I'm like, what the hell happened? Because when I went to go seat the mortise onto the chuck jaws, it wasn't even. And I was like, what the hell just happened? So I don't know what happened between when I sized the mortise and this part right here, because it just did not seat well, and I had a lot of wobble, and I was like, well, I screw up a lot on this channel, and I just figured you're just gonna have to deal with it now because it's too late to go back and resize it. So I'm just basically working down material and being really slow and methodical about this, which is what you need to do. And I've learned you got to have a lot of patience with this. So just really taking our time on this one. And surprisingly, in spite of all the wobble, the blank did not fly off the lathe. It did not give me nearly as much chip out as I thought. Actually, I don't think there was any chip out on this. And ended up gouging this out really good, just taking our time, switching between the carbide tools. I stayed away from the square carbide on this one and just did the round ones. And like I said, not a whole lot of issues. Actually, barely any issues at all. I was nervous and it was butt clenching the entire time, but overall was really happy how this part of it ended up turning out. And you can see we're still getting really good ribbons on this, and I think it was the fact that we let the resin set up for at least 4 days. So when I started working down the material, it felt really good on the chisels, and I was really able to take off a lot of material and didn't have a lot of chatter on the chisel itself. So I believe that's what caused this to work out so well. But now we're just working it down. I'm at a pretty good depth, and I'm stopping and starting the lathe, tightening it down a little bit, because as that wobble goes, it'll start to come off the lathe a little bit, so you have to readjust and stop it. But overall, was really happy how this was turning out. Not a whole lot of issues when it came to this part. And you can see here, we're just dragging those chisels, getting good material work down. Stop, start, retighten the chuck. It's better to have to stop it multiple times and tighten it versus just letting the damn thing fly off the lathe, and then you're just going to have a lot of problems overall. But surprisingly, not a whole lot of issues. Here's all the ribbons from it. The wood got worked down really well. Just came off in a giant bird's nest there. You can see there a little bit of how deep the bowl is, but overall really happy at the depth that we are at this point. And now all we're going to do is clean up the workshop, and then we're going to start my favorite part, which is sanding. So going up from 340 all the way up to 1500, really took our time on this. You can see there's still a lot of wobble, and as I'm starting to do the sanding, I can feel the lip of the bowl kind of molding a little bit because it's so damn hot. So I started this project at like 5:30 in the morning, and it ended up going until nearly 9-10 o'clock. But love the color on this bowl. It looks absolutely gorgeous. As I'm doing this commentary, I'm looking at it right now in my room, and love how this turned out. In spite of some of the problems that we had, looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to call this bowl, but might call this University of Texas bowl. I don't know. Not a big UT fan. I went to Tech, so red and black is what we're all about on this side of the state. But looks really cool. Really happy how this one turned out. Didn't have as many problems as I thought I was going to have. Again, I think this is probably the best size bowl that we can do on my lathe, but ended up turning out something absolutely gorgeous. Next week's project is probably going to be an all wood project. We're probably going to do a lot more of these fire bowls or wood bowls like this. Some people might say, hey, you're just doing the same project over and over again. And yeah, but aren't all bowls basically the same? You're just doing the same thing, making a mortise, tightening it down, gouging. But I love making these. These are fun for me, and I do these projects for me, not for anybody in particular. So I like making them. Hope you guys like watching them, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, all that bullshit, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace. All right, so project is done, and this one looks absolutely gorgeous. Love how this turned out. The wood, wish I had a little bit more wood in it, but you can see the wood grain. You can see that firewood that's in there. This color looks awesome. Don't know what to call this color. I have no idea, but really happy how this turned out. Not a whole lot of problems. Actually, the latch on the back of my lathe broke. I fixed that with hot glue and glue and steel putty. So yeah, we got it done because this project almost didn't get made. But looks absolutely gorgeous. Love the color in it, like fire red type orange type red. I don't know. Anyway, I think I've also found the perfect size for the lathe. So I'm sure I went over in the commentary the problems I had with the wobble. I actually thought this was gonna fucking get destroyed and blow up on the lathe, but it somehow didn't, so that was kind of cool. But love how this turned out. Hope you guys liked it. It's the 18th of August today, and you guys are watching this 2 days from now. So it's a million degrees. Started this at 6 o'clock in the morning here in West Texas, and now it's like 9:15-ish, and it's already almost 90. So I need to get the hell out of the garage. Might come back a little bit later today, set up some other projects. So hope you guys liked it. Way better if you guys watched my video that I put out, the bonus one on Thursday. You guys saw the trash bowl that I made. So it's good to get a win in. So hope you guys liked it. All that good shit that every YouTuber says. Check it out in the next one. All right, peace.